A good Moed Besimcha. In the background, you can see the beautiful Mediterranean Sea. And I share with you a story that happened a little while before Pesach in 1955 or 56, one of those years. And the story is between my father and R Amrom Blau's son and R Amrom Blau. The Rebbe called for the distribution of shmura matzah, hand-baked matzah, throughout Eretz Yisrael, throughout the world for that matter. And my father was working in a bakery in Geula, or Meir Sha'arim, to make a few dollars extra on the side. After yeshiva, probably Bein Azmanim, when you had time to do this. Anyway, he was a student of Reb Shlomo Chaim Kesselman, and his Rosh Yeshiva was Reb Nochem Trebnik, who was a friend of Reb Moshe Feinstein. And my father took it very seriously, and the idea was that when you work in the bakery or you go in and you ask the owner if you can spare a few matzahs to distribute to other people. This was in the years when the yeshiva was still in Lud, not in Kfar Chabad, and they didn't have yet the bakery, so they depended on getting shmura matzah from other places. So my father's working, and the son of Reb Amrom Blau, Amrom Blau was the head of the Natura Karta, who opposed vehemently Zionists and Zionism and everything else. So he asked him, could you spare a few matzahs so I can give out matzah to people who don't have shmura matzah? So the son of Reb Amrom Blau asked him, and who are these people? So he said, they're not religious Jews, they're not observant, but they're Jewish. So Reb Amrom Blau's son said, they are goyim, like goyim, and they're shoyim. They're goyim because they don't keep the mitzvahs, they don't observe the Torah and the commandments, and since they're Zionistic, they're wicked. A Zionist is wicked because he opposes Torah. That was the idea. And my father started to argue with him. My father was already 19, 20. He was, and he knew what's going on. And he said to him, "What are you talking about? These are Jews." And they were relentless. They didn't give up. He didn't give up. The son of Reb Amrom Blau. So Reb Amrom happens to walk in the middle of this discussion between my father and Reb Amrom's son. And there's a commotion in the bakery. And he asks what's going on. So they tell him that this Chabad student, Bacher, who's working here and doing a fine job, he wants some matzah for free to give out to others. And we would normally do that, of course, without a problem. But he's giving it to non-religious people. And they're to show him. And he says they're not. And Reb Amram looks at my father, he says, I agree with my son. They're a shoyim, the Zionists are a shoyim, and therefore they're not worthy of eating a shmura matzah on Pesach. And we're not going to give you any shmura matzah. Goodbye, Charlie. That's the way it is. So my father said to Reb Amram, Reb Amram, did you learn the first page of Tanya? And he goes on to say, at the first page of Tanya, it says, someone who doesn't learn every moment of their life from the first page going on to the second side is Nikkei Rasha, is called wicked. And my father looks at Reb Amram in the eye, and he had no idea, Reb Amram. He just knew that there's someone that's the head of the Torah Karta. And he says to him, Reb Amram, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're a Rasha. Why? Because you don't learn Torah every single moment. And according to what the Balatanya cites here from the Gemara, it's not the Alter Rebbe's, the Balatanya's Chiddush. Someone doesn't learn Torah every moment, there's a Rasha. But you eat matzah, right? So if it's good enough for you as a Rasha to eat matzah, shmura matzah, this Rasha that you consider because he's a Zionist can also eat shmura matzah and should eat shmura matzah. This became a commotion, and the next day in the Natura Karta paper, I forget what it was called, they had a paper that they printed, I think, every day. Big headlines, Chabad, Bocher Chabad, Talmud, student, calls Reb Amrom Blau a Rasha. What do you think about that for a story? And what's the message? The message is, don't call someone a Rasha. Look at yourself first. Either you're a Rasha or the other person's not a Rasha. And it's better to say the other person's not a Rasha, because he's not a Rasha. He might not agree with you, even if he has Zionistic ideas and everything else. So here it is. It's a Pesach story that happened almost 70 years ago. And we remind ourselves of it, and we take it that although already we had the Sidurim, the Pesach Seders, Mashiach Suda is coming, and we're going to eat, matzah and 4 cups, as the Chabad tradition is. And even if you don't follow the tradition, you say l'chaim on wine, and it's the Nilas HaChag, So it's still important to make sure that everyone has a piece of shmura matzah. The Zohar HaKadosh, the Holy Zohar, says that matzah is michel demnusa, michel tasvasa. It's food of faith and food of healing. And the Rebbe had in his drawer all year round in his office in 770, in his drawer he had shmura matzah. And from time to time, when someone came in and they had an issue and the Rebbe felt that this would help, he gave them a piece of the shmura matzah from his drawer. So if that's the case, we should encourage people to still eat shmura matzah, especially on the last day, Shvish and Achar Shel Pesach. May Hashem help that we merit the coming of Mashiach, where there won't be any more fighting and disagreements, Zionists, not Zionists, R Amrom Blau, my father, and everything else. Everyone will live happily ever after. They'll live in peace, and they'll realize that to give a yid a piece of shmura matzah, you don't need to have tzitzis and a yarmulke and a beard and payas. As long as you cover his head, makes a bracha al achilas matzah, al maitzi lechem in the oretz, and eats a piece of matzah. Have a great day. L'chaim, Mashiach should come now.